Hi buddies, I am here today to talk about podcasts. So part of my marketing strategy for my business this year, and if you don't know, my business is called Constellation & Co. We are a letterpress greeting card company. I write the cards, we print them, we sell them wholesale, and we sell them online and in our brick and mortar shop. Those are the things that I do. So a big part of my marketing for this year is to be a guest on podcasts. So I have been working with a PR person named Brittany, who has been pitching me to podcasts. She does a lot of research to find podcasts that are relevant to all the things that I do and all the things that I can talk about. And my goal for this year is to record and be a guest on 12 podcasts. Now, she is much more efficient than I expected because at this point we have already recorded, let's go to my press page, constellationco.com/press. I've got my computer right here, you just can't see it. So I've recorded 7 podcasts have come out so far. And let's see, she just sent me the numbers. Imagine if I was prepared. Imagine. And there are 8. Oh my goodness. So 7 have come out this year, and I have 8 more that are scheduled or have been recorded and not released yet. It's actually really fun. I love being a podcast guest. It's kind of like doing this, not all that different, except I don't have to edit it. And also I get to talk to amazing people because everyone I've talked to that has their own podcast has a really interesting point of view and things they're doing. And I just think it's super great. So today I have 2 recordings scheduled back to back. So it's going to be a hectic day. I've got water and also coffee in a snail cup. I've been recording them all to this point with the traditional old school Apple headphones that come with the computer, because that was the easiest thing for a while, but I actually just upgraded. This thing is not expensive, but helpful. It is like the customer service style headphones. Hello, this is the call center. Can I help you? Imagine if I had to answer all of the angry YouTube comments as phone calls. I would quit. Anyways, so this is the first time I will be using this. It is a super long cord, which is cool. I ordered it and it was like $30. And I ordered it at the suggestion of one of the podcast hosts that I'll be talking to later. The only downside is it is a USB. So of course for my laptop, I have to have the weird dongle. Thanks for that, Apple. Anyways, that is what I have going on today. So I'm going to film just a little bit of the recordings just to kind of give you an idea of what it feels like, what it looks like from behind the scenes. And then I will be back later to open mail. I am thankfully feeling energized and ready to chat all day. Unfortunately, some days I wake up on a day that I have a recording scheduled and I'm like, oh no. I feel dumb. I feel drained and depressed and like terrible. And thankfully, I've been able to work through those days and just be honest about where I'm coming from and just not put too much pressure on myself to perform. Because really, when I'm on a podcast, I'm here to talk about my business, yes. But also I'm mostly here to talk about the same things that I talk about here, about the real talk of what it's like to run a business and what it's like to struggle with mental health and all of that stuff. So it's a relief when I'm feeling not inspirational to know that I'm not here to inspire nearly as much as I'm here to make you feel a little less alone, because I'm in the middle of it with you. I am in the thick of it many days, and I hope that people who listen to my podcasts will feel like, yeah, she gets it. She gets it. She's here with me, and hopefully take away a few things that I've shared that are helpful for me that will be helpful for you as well. So again, if you haven't listened to any of the podcasts I have guested on, there are a few that are very, very specific to snail mail, which are fun if you haven't listened to those. And they're all on different topics, and I think they're all worth a listen. They're all conversations that I super enjoyed, And sometimes I forget that I'm on a podcast and I'm just having a great time talking to an interesting person. So I will leave the press page link in the description box below so you can take a look if you are interested in listening. If you hate the sound of my voice, don't go click that because you're gonna hear me more. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. All right, I have 6 minutes to drink some coffee before it's time to record. I'm going to go get to that. Hello. How are you? Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Absolutely. So I own a company here in Seattle called Constellation & Co. And we are mainly a letterpress greeting card company. So I write all of our cards and then we print them on antique presses in our little stationery store here in Seattle. I took a long, curvy detour kind of road to get there, which I'm excited to talk to you about. Absolutely. So I had always loved art growing up. I was a ballet dancer for many years, and that was what I sort of saw my career as being. And then I ended up getting really sick my senior year of high school and had a lot of undiagnosed issues with my heart and just the way my body was working. And so I shifted to the visual arts and went to a pre-college program for graphic design, and then ended up going to college at that school, the Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida. So I went to a 4-year private visual arts school and got a Bachelor in Fine Arts. And midway through college, figured out that the physical problems I was having were actually major panic attacks, which was an adventure to realize many, many months later that is what I was going through. So basically through all of that, I had this passion for snail mail, which is very old school, very throwback. But I've always loved sending letters and receiving mail and doing things the old-fashioned way, which is why I ended up becoming a letterpress printer as well. But at that time, I needed a creative outlet away from all of these, like, whatever I was working to make ends meet. So I started making cards in my spare bedroom and selling them on Etsy. And eventually, my very last really bad job, I like to share these stories now. It's been 10 years because I know young folks are going to work some bad jobs. And I thought at the time that it was my fault, that like, I just wasn't worth a better job and that this was what every job was going to be like. And it felt very isolating. So that's why I like to tell these stories. Basically, I spent all of my 20s building my own brand and building my business. And now that I'm a mom and now that I'm farther along and can't work the hours I used to work and can't stay up as late as I used to stay up, I have the foundation of what I've built that I can grow on. All right, so the first one went well. I talked in the last episode about imposter syndrome, so I won't talk about that again, but it can be hard being an anxious person and doing what I do for a living, because I know that people have said yes to have me on their podcasts because they want to hear what I have to say. But I can also walk away from it feeling like, did I talk too much? Did I say too many things? Are those stories boring? Like, is anyone going to want to listen to this? And I've gotten really, really good feedback from everyone who has had me on their podcast and from everyone who's listened. So I know that I'm not completely failing at it, but it's still a weird thing to do as part of my job. But I really enjoy it, which is why I've continued to do them and why it's such a big part of my marketing plan for this year, because I really believe that what people buy and what people want from me is story and connection. They want to hear my story, they want to hear why I do what I do, and they want to connect over the things that they're struggling with too, or the life experiences that they've had. And so being on a podcast is a really straightforward way for me to connect with people and hope that after they've heard me on a podcast, they'll go check out our website and take a look at what we sell, or subscribe to my channel, or find us on Instagram, or any of those things to kind of be part of the family. And yeah, Podcasts are a great way to do marketing because they're free. They just take some time. I do them all from the safety of my home here with like inexpensive equipment. It's not hard to do. And if you're someone like me that just likes to talk, then it's good. And while I am an introvert, like definitely an introvert, talking to myself on a camera or talking on a podcast and having a conversation doesn't drain me, it fills me up because have we talked about this already? I'm an external processor. I don't experience things and then think about them in my brain for a long time and then figure out what I think. I figure out what I think by talking it out, which is why I journal so much, which is why I like snail mail, which is why I like conversations and talking and arguing and having debates. I enjoy that stuff because it helps me refine what my brain is doing and make connections that I can't do if I'm just sitting quietly. My husband is absolutely the opposite. So whether you're like him or like me, obviously it's all great. It's just different. So when I'm on a podcast, a lot of times I'll be talking about something and I'll realize I had never really articulated it a certain way, or I'd never really thought about it that way. Or when a podcast host will ask me a specific question about something, it will get my brain working in a different way than it's ever worked before, which I think is really energizing. I get really excited by conversations. All right. This is a very pretty one that I've been looking at from Tony. Oh, it's so pretty! Dearest Sarah, with much joy I received your most recent response to my letter. I want to first thank you for finding the time to correspond when life has a way of diverting us from our passions. I hope these words will reach you to find you and your family doing well. I'm happy to report that we are all doing great. I love the sticker that you sent, and I will put it on my desk as inspiration that sending snail mail is important and special. Your painting of the postal mailbox was so cute. You are quite the artist. I've been trying very hard to add some flair to my envelopes, so I hope you enjoy the washi tape on this envelope. I must admit that seeing your typed letter brought back some wonderful memories of my childhood and our family typewriter. I can still remember how the keys would fly to the paper to imprint the letters that formed the words, as if a secret was being unveiled. I loved typing, although I never achieved a high proficiency. Sarah, you were very clear in your response about the importance of family. Growing up in a family of first-generation Italians, everything we did revolved around our family. My hope is that my own children will have learned that valuable lesson passed on through me. I felt honored to have my letter read by you on your video. I'm very pleased that it resonated with you regarding the importance of letters from loved ones no longer here. I will now share with you what I am doing to help my children and future generations know me a little better. I keep a daily journal, which is nothing more than an excuse to use my pens. Then I have a second journal I call my legacy journal. Each entry consists of a prompt such as your first job, your high school experience, as well as some more thought-provoking prompts like, if this was your last day on earth, what would you do? My youngest daughter asked to read an entry, so I quizzed her about my prompt, my first job. She answered what I thought was my first job, only to discover that she was not remotely close. The most rewarding thing about that was finding out that she could read cursive. Sarah, I close this letter hoping that you and your family will continue to be blessed with happiness and good health. Until we meet again in the mailbox, please take care. Tony. I love that idea of a legacy journal. Like snail mail to your kids that they get to open when they're ready, all together. It's really special. I might have to borrow that idea. All right. Coffee, podcast, go. Good fruits and things on the floor. Okay. Hello. Hello. How are you? It's good. I was just Googling she sheds because apparently that's a thing. No, I don't think I have any questions. Occasionally my brain will not think of a word, and if you think it's charming, then we can keep it, or if not, we can decide that we found the word and I can try again. Yeah, so out of school, really, I just ended up pursuing that. And after I quit my last terrible job, I spent a full year apprenticing with a letterpress printer to learn the craft of printing. And then I bought a absolute piece of garbage rust bucket printing press, refurbished it, rented a 100 square foot artist studio that before I moved in was an amateur porn studio. And for real, like when I viewed it, the only thing in the room was a bed and black lights, which I don't know why you would want black lights. It's a terrible idea, but that's what was in there. It was a strange place. The gifts they left behind for me were like 3 cups of cat food and a vodka bottle with a razor blade and a surgical glove in it. It was a scary place. But that's where I started my business, so I kind of have an affection for it at this point. When I started out, I just wanted to make greeting cards because I wanted something to make that I could sell. And I think my first greeting cards had cupcakes on them, like illustrations of cupcakes, which, thinking back, that's the last thing I would do at this point in my life. But yeah, I started, researching like what categories that greeting card companies made them in, and trying to write birthday cards and thank you cards and wedding cards and birthday, baby cards. And I had a really hard time connecting with that. And so while I was making cards like that, I was going through really difficult things behind the scenes. I was having a lot of panic attacks and going through episodes of depression. I don't know. I'd been really struggling and feeling like I was the only one struggling and that I couldn't be honest about that stuff. And as time went on and as I went through more things with my life, I think infertility was one of the things that finally broke that part of me. That I had this outward face with people that I knew, where I was trying to be a business owner and be together and be an adult. Like, I think that was the season of my life where I realized I can't just write birthday cards anymore. I don't have that in my brain. I don't have that in my heart. So I just started writing the things I was actually feeling. And that's where I feel like my business became mine. It became something that was actually a reflection of the person I am and the experiences that I've had. And has really gone from there and has expanded into seasons of grief that I've been through and struggles with mental health and just this feeling of being alone that comes from being a human. No matter what you're going through, I think we all fall into the trap of feeling alone. And so when I really look at why I do what I do, it's because I don't want other people to feel as alone as I have felt. And if with a greeting card I can change that, I'm going to do that every day. Okay, I'm back. Let's open the rest of the mail. I am a little bit tired. It was a lot of talking and some really good conversations. I am super worn out. Snail mail will bring me back to life. Got one from San Francisco. It says, Sara, spent the long weekend in Reno and San Francisco, my first time to both places. I'm in total awe of all the stunning Victorian homes here. I wish I had more time just to walk around and look at their beautiful architecture. I should really take some time and go building admiring back in Seattle too. I always do it in other cities, but forget to appreciate my own. Love you, Kelly. Oh, that's a cool one. It says, hey Sara, this accidental double exposure is one of my favorite photos from the Mississippi Delta. Happy summer, David. It's a really cool picture. I will put the link to David's site below. Got one here. Oh, cool. These are awesome. It says, Dear Sara, thank you for putting my letter on your bulletin board. I loved your 10th anniversary blog post. You're on the money with all the points you made. Most everyone just learns those things on their own the hard way. As someone twice your age or close to it, I can tell you there is more heartache ahead, but far more joy if you keep yourself centered around your family. Do you have a 5 or 10-year plan for Constellation & Co.? It doesn't have to be elaborate, but you need to know where you're going. Another piece of advice I have for you is to ask. The power of asking is incredible. If you want something, ask. You will be amazed at the responses you get. I've enclosed the Navy rating for Cryptologic Technician. The lightning bolt and quill has been referred to as lightning fast chicken plucker. I like lightning fast letter writer myself. I was an enlisted CT years ago. I'm 30 years In 30 years, I advanced from seaman recruit to captain. That's awesome. These are beautiful. I will put them on my jean jackets. I love them very much. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate your thoughtful advice. I will link down below as well the blog post that he's talking about. I started on my business's blog writing about things I've learned in the last 10 years, because this year is 10 years since I graduated college, 10 years since I moved to Seattle, 10 years since I got married, and 10 years since I started designing greeting cards and selling on Etsy back in the day when I started my business. So I've been thinking a lot about what I've learned along the way and what I want for the next 10 years. And I can't share exactly what my 10-year, 5-year, 10-year plan is for my business, but I'm feeling like I understand what I want a whole lot more lately than I ever have. So I'm working hard to figure that out. Got one from Charles. Always a pleasure. Sara. Some of my favorite memories are associated with our family's trips to the Diamond Tea Ranch near Clark Fork, Idaho. We traveled there 30 years in a row. Our children grew up there, riding horses, biking to town, swimming in the mountain lake, sitting by a fire at night, roasting marshmallows, telling stories, laughing, great times. For me, one of the most pleasurable parts of the trip was getting there. We left early, the children still asleep, so we took pillows and blankets in the van, and everyone slept for the first few hours. Driving in the early morning across the pass into eastern Washington, the same road, the same scenes, year after year after year. All those years, we stopped at the same restaurant for breakfast, and most of us ordered the same breakfast menu. That time, driving through that beauty, alone time as everyone else slept, I spent reflecting on my life. It was the classic return myth made real. The return sparks reflections about the cycles of life and aging and evolving consciousness and growth. All such reflections were part of each journey. Growing up on a farm in a small town in Missouri, nearly every summer we drove west to an aunt's ranch near El Dorado, Kansas. Then on to another aunt's ranch near Rye, Colorado. We always left early and had breakfast on the road. But Mother always made a pot of coffee for herself and Daddy, then washed the coffee pot, and we left. And just as with my family, we drove the same route each year after year. There were no freeways, so we drove on blue roads through numerous small towns on the way. Quite often, my father had personal stories about the towns, about a time when he rode wild horses in rodeos or put on pre-World War I vaudeville shows on a portable stage, carried from town to town on horse-driven wagons. Those repeated journeys year after year, growing up and with my own family, had meaning and stability and great joy to my life. For these journeys travel both within and outward into an exciting world. Charles. Growing up, we went to Sanibel Island every summer, and that was that kind of journey for me. And we went back last summer for the first time in, what did we figure out? It was like 2001 was the last time, so it had been like 17 years. And it was really special bringing my son to a place that I had this repeated memory of. And as a parent, I want to create those kinds of memories and rituals with my family. I feel like that's what I'm thinking about so much lately, is where I've been, where I'm going, and I want to create my life and design it the way that will be healthy and happy and intentional, instead of letting life happen to me. I feel like a lot of my 20s, I let life happen to me and I reacted. And I want to get ahead of it a bit. I don't know. Been thinking about a lot of things lately. Tell me in the comments below if you had any things you did every single summer or every single year. Love to hear them. Those stories make me feel safe. Something beautiful about repetition. So that's it for me today. I'm tired. I'm not even gonna go there. It's been busy is a really stupid thing to keep repeating. Yeah. On June 15th, we're having another snail mail social at the Fisherman's Terminal. So if you're in the area, please join us. There's more information on my site. I will link it below. And I have a big pile of letters to respond to. So I'm going to spend that time doing that and hopefully snag some more time before then. So if you haven't heard from me, be patient. It's coming, I promise. And I hope you're well. See you in the next one.